why not save your energy and still be amazing? And that's what I see is this over here. Like the moment I walked into TENCROW, I was like, oh wow, that's what we need. This thing right over here, And then we walked in, and it wasn't even 5 minutes. We hadn't even put down our bags yet, and we were already talking about shared capabilities and ways to just work within simple optimizations in just the office and everything else. And of course we can do that. You bring in software development and visual effects, and you bring in administration and industry knowledge and investments and finance, and just put them all in the same room and say, hey, you all have the same goal. Go at it. And that's, again...
Oh, we did that.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm. And now we're 10 crows on a... 10 wasted crows on an arc. Yeah, we really got to think of a name here.
I think while we think of the name, I think we can maybe start talking about the joint venture and what our plans are.
What are we going to talk about?
Film,
business, music, art,
technology.
Podcasting from Jacksonville, North Carolina, it's Backstage at TENCROW Studios.
All right. Hey, appreciate everybody taking the trip in today. So, for the folks listening at home that don't know, we have Wasted Potential Studios and Arc Entertainment here in the studio today, and really excited about what we're doing. I guess we'll probably start out by just introducing ourselves. Who wants to go first?
All right. Hi, I'm Ross Campbell. I'm the founder of Arc Entertainment.
I'm Joseph Ritter. I'm the founder of Wasted Potential Studios.
I'm Devin Scott. I'm a developer for Wasted Potential Studios.
I'm Darko Jefremov. I'm social media guy.
And Mike McCoy, obviously a co-owner of TENCROW Studios. So I think one of the big things we've been talking about lately is partnering up and doing a joint venture together, which is a really exciting concept. So there's no format to this. We can literally just have a conversation. So I didn't take any notes.
No, yeah, that's. I mean, it's something that we definitely. I think we just really met and it just sort of clicked.
Yeah.
We decided to do that before we even figured out what we were going to do with it.
You know what's amazing to me about all this is so when me and Jacqueline started on this journey, we grew out of our garage, made the studio, and as we were putting together the business plan, we started envisioning what we eventually wanted this place to become, and then you guys walked through our door, and it's like, holy shit, this is all the capability that we've been looking to somehow achieve here, but just didn't really know the path to get there ourselves. So, I think that really says a lot about, the power of bringing other people in and doing something together.
Yeah.
Because honestly, with the capabilities that all of us combined bring together, this is almost like a mini Paramount, Warner Brothers type situation that we're brewing, that we're cooking up here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Why is that?
Well, just with kind of where the industry's going, especially the localized industry, with all the incentives in North Carolina and kind of the incentives everywhere else kind of going down, and where the market's going with film. But not just that too, everything that we've been doing with this game, starting that up, all the collaborations just lining up. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that industry went to Georgia, so it's nice to be able to bring some of that back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I guess that's a little segue we should probably talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess Wasted Potential's flagship product is a video game, Medieval Life, Chronicles of Honora.
Yeah. And
that's kind of how we all met, basically through that. And it's been spiraling.
Yeah, when did you guys open up TENCROW?
So we purchased the property in January of last year, and then finished renovation, I'd say 95%, August of last year. So we've really only been open maybe just over 6 months, maybe a little more than that.
So we're all at the
That's awesome.
beginnings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all like
That's
ground
nice.
floor stuff.
Yes.
Solid hustle though. You did a lot of really great work here.
Yeah, this place looks amazing. Especially this room. Crow.
Oh, this is definitely the most expensive room in the place. It's like a room within a room. Like even the ceiling's completely decoupled. It's not connected to the joist. There's like a floating system there. The floor is like 6 layers thick.
Is it
yeah.
raised? Yeah, it's raised.
Mhm. Yeah, it's raised. Do all that, and then you still got to put an extra door on. It's like,
So is that a good segue into? Are we allowed to talk about what we're gonna put back there?
yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about anything.
Ooh, don't tempt me. No, the wraparound LED screen.
Mm.
You know, something that is very rare in North Carolina, and I think that's one of our first infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
Projects.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean,
Project. Yeah.
Real quick. Can we put the Starbucks thing on the not the water, just the Starbucks thing?
oh yeah, no Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What?
There was there's a slip up in Game of Thrones. I think it was the last season where
Yep.
they left the Starbucks cup on that whole war planning table.
Very fancy goblet.
Yeah. So forward.
It's not my phone.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
excited about the LED screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working in interactive and VFX for a while, in some capacity or another, and you know, I just really love the possibilities that come with putting better screens, you know, better mocap, better just. We had to use some pretty slick tricks and projects I've done before in order to map the camera to a virtual world and do all this stuff in post. And just the LED screen is a game changer, not just in speed but in quality and the ability for actors. So it's not something I've had a chance to work with yet, and pretty hyped about it. It's a quantum leap as far as all the work that I've been doing.
Yeah, and I think really a good thing that we're doing long term is we're not renting this
Mhm.
equipment, right?
Mhm.
We're gonna buy it outright, and
Yep.
we have the game plan of being able to constantly use the motion capture, which we're gonna be using Movella for that. That's the same motion capture system that they used for Mandalorian. They let us know a couple other ones. Russ, do you remember?
Really a lot. I mean, they just did that. They just did a film for Netflix. They've been doing a lot of research with it. I mean, I worked on it years ago with the film. The film Ted used it, but I used it on one of my projects just years ago, and I just love the fact that you can just take it to any location. You don't have to be in front of a green screen or restricted to any type of studio. It could be at any practical location.
It's all sensor based, no camera.
All sensor based. Yeah, so.
So is that using like LiDAR?
It uses, I think it's like a GPS style, because LiDAR would still need a camera, right? So their software pretty much ingests the movement from the calibration point.
Oh wow.
It can also do elevation, right?
So each point is its own sensor.
Yeah, there's like 17 sensors on the body, and then it gets ingested, and you can have up to four people with full suits.
Oh wow.
And that's just limited on the seats for their software, so you could actually have another computer running with the software and have another 4 people. But they said don't go over like a certain amount of people, because then the frequencies start to get a little
Start
sloppy.
to interfere with each other.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to use them. They're also going to be on site doing a lot of like background filming, and we have someone else that's good job whispering. We could still hear that. But no, we have. What was I saying?
Some background projects.
Yeah, we have a backup project documentary of this whole thing that we're gonna be doing. Yeah, Darko, our resident famous person, as his wife likes to call him.
Yeah, I'm documenting all the beautiful natural moments that we are gathering from the very beginning because, like we said, we are making a history right now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all of us.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, man, I don't think this area is prepared for what we're about to launch here.
Yeah.
I mean, for obvious reasons, like we haven't really been broadcasting it much, and this is just the beginning. But once it catches on, like we're definitely gonna be a powerhouse.
Yes.
Like no, you're not gonna be able to ignore this place.
You
At
won't
least
know.
here regionally.
Yeah, and I could just imagine. Look, I'm living in Chicago right now, but I can imagine like I can imagine what it would feel like if like you were coming back, visiting someone for the holidays, and all of a sudden you just see this campus,
Yeah.
like just sprouted up out of nowhere, and they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
what?
Is it on, Mike? Is it supposed to be like lit up? I just don't know if it's off or not.
What is that?
That's a good question.
I mean, I can hear you. I can hear you
Yeah.
fine. I just didn't know if it's
It's from these mics. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on.
Oh.
Is it picking up over there on
It's connected to this one?
the Blackmagic? Just look on the receiver
It looks like it.
for this.
Where is it at?
Like you should be able to see the
Looks
little
like
bars move.
it looks like it's picking up.
It says it's got a full battery.
Yeah, it's big enough.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry. I just didn't know because I didn't know if it was off or not.
No, I'm glad you pointed it out because. But I guess if I'm coming up on
Yeah,
those,
I can hear you.
yeah. This is actually the first time we've had this many people in the
This one's it,
podcast
this
in
one.
here, so.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lucky you have enough
Awesome.
seats.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked out just fine.
I can sit on the amp if need be.
What was that?
I'll sit on the amp.
Let's talk a little bit about how we envision our combined capabilities here, like what we're actually opening here.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of touch on, in a way, like how this all started and how the capabilities just kept growing and growing
Yeah.
and growing.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it started off with like all these emerging paths just coming together just to create this humongous thing. I mean, Joseph starting to work on the game in 2019, and then getting to a point of where it had to stop because it had to go in a different direction. And it's like what Devin says to us a lot when all these things start to happen is God's not silent, he's very loud because things just are such in an obvious way. When I first came out here, I moved from Los Angeles, and most of my work has been remote as a producer. And coming out to North Carolina, I wanted to do something that was just a little bit more stable, creating something that would make more opportunities for people, rather than just shooting a movie overseas or shooting in another state. Coming to North Carolina and realizing the history that it has here with the film community just for years. It's been as active as Hollywood has since the beginning of film. And a lot of that infrastructure is still here. And, we still have studios, we still have people filming here, we still have people that are very experienced, but they're finding themselves in other states because of incentive reasons. And with North Carolina's history and them trying to bring the incentive back, it's something that a lot of people just don't know about how this rebate works and the benefits that they're going to get here. So that's when I came up with the idea of Arc Entertainment. It was something where instead of me, what I do for one film, it's doing it for multiple films, but cornerstoning it into one area, creating all the jobs in North Carolina, finding the right scripts, finding the right content, and making sure that the budget works and everything, and just tailoring it for that incentive to keep bringing projects here and to keep making money back for the investors, so that way everybody's happy and nobody has to keep looking for work. They know that they're going to be working on 3 projects a year or more. And when I got started with that and I started looking for projects, one thing I was always looking at was like, okay, what kind of films will work in North Carolina, and what are the budget ranges? What's the genre that's going to be popular next year that's going to sell to distributors? And it was just funny. Like while I started Arc Entertainment, I didn't even really announce that I was doing this thing yet to get these scripts in. People just started randomly reaching out to me and just being like, hey, what are you doing now? I got this project. What do you think I should do? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for here. And it was our queen, Jennifer. She's an old friend of mine. She's worked with me many times in film, and she's just like, hey, I'm up to be casted probably in this game, and I got the second call back, and they just they need financial help on it. They need to get to that next stage, and do you know any investors that would be interested in a video game? And I was like, well, shoot, like Arc Entertainment isn't just film, it's multimedia, so that's music videos, that's TV shows, movies, and video games. And with me, like I've studied video games for years, I'm a huge gamer. I wrote a 28-page macro paper in college kind of predicting where the industry is going to go, and it went exactly that way, that it's more profitable than film and music combined. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I want to do a video game. So then we ended up started talking, and with everything that Joseph had, and what he needed and what we both needed to do, it's just one of those things where I had all these projects, and trying to figure out which one was supposed to go first in terms of like the financing, and which is going to grab the investors' attention to what projects are going to be brought here. And God was very loud with it. I ended up meeting Devin and Darko actually in the gym. And it wasn't one of those things where we all worked together before, so we know we're all qualified. It was just like the puzzle pieces just fit perfectly. And then our collaboration too after that. Then this all started to grow into more and more and more, to being like, all right, well, we're going to be doing the motion capture here, and then realizing that the Unreal 5 engine that we're using can do visual effects in film and rear projection. Yeah. Then it was then the idea came like how this game is going to be helping out in so much more in other industries. It's just been an amazing ride so far.
I remember that call. Russ was like, "Do you know anything about visual effects or special effects?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I literally have to do that for the game." And he's like, "Can you put together something?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And now all of a sudden we're doing video post-production, and yeah, it's just because I shot him in the head a bunch of times in a video.
It's like what I was saying before with it's almost like this is something that's supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the stars are aligning, the universe is like pushing to make this happen, and it's like flowing through all of us if we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it.
That's absolutely
true. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what they are doing in Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the incentives are going to be going away from there, and there is that untapped there's that wasted potential that North Carolina has, and it's something that we would love to bring back. And I think right now it's good because a lot of the officials, like the local governments and stuff like that, want it back as well. Yeah. Because now, before it was a $400 million, tourist, or I should say local spending boost per project or per year. For all the projects they had, but Georgia's expanded it to $4 billion. Yeah. So it's incredible. North Carolina could have had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to rewind a little bit to what you said about if we don't do it, somebody else will. I like to think about things like this. You have opportunists that will see the market opportunity that exists based off of what's going on in between Georgia and North Carolina, just space, the technology, and everything else. And then you have visionaries. And the difference between an opportunist and a visionary is that an opportunist has a short-term goal and will push it as far as it is until that goal satisfies what they're looking for. But visionaries, like what we're talking about, is a long-term economic growth for the state, is a long-term vision for the nature of media, the nature of interactive. Like you said, you put together a predictive macro paper on exactly where the industry is going. And I think I will speak for everybody at this table that we're not just concerned with following where the industry is going, but kind of directing it, like being at the helm of that ship and saying, you know what I think? I think that this is the best possible thing we can do for this industry, the best possible thing we can do for this region, the best possible thing we can do for everybody working in this industry that either is looking to get involved in an industry that is admittedly changing hugely, not just because of like general interactive video games taking over the market, but things like artificial intelligence and digital work and remote work. And we're creating actual frameworks and systems, and that's the difference. I feel very strongly that given the situation that someone else will do it, I would always rather a visionary than an opportunist, because given the exact same circumstances, they're going to make a bigger impact, and a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, I say that. We say that very often.
All the time.
And I would even say, like, we didn't come into this with the idea of the industry, right? Like, we came into this just because it's passion.
Yeah.
And we started doing the research while we were looking for the investments, and we were like, oh, we stumbled into something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what you're saying is visionaries instead of opportunists. But it's an added bonus because, like I said, this is passion. So I don't think any of us show up every day thinking they're going to work. You know, I'm developing a video game. So
Exactly.
I'm literally playing a video game.
You know, like I said, you know, what I tell you all the time, the reason why I'm on this team is because I found out what you were doing, and it was the same thing that I was trying to do. And the opportunity to get paid to do what I was going to do for free anyway, right? That's the American dream. That's my goal, is to just wake up and say, hey, I'm doing the thing I love to do, the thing I was already planning on doing, and someone else sees the value and the vision, and we're supporting one another. So not only, you know, is there obviously, like, you know, there's money involved in it, but there's support. You know, you know very well, doing something on your own, it proves that you believe in it.
Yeah.
But when someone else also demonstrates they believe in it, they're also supporting you. It just puts the whole thing on kerosene and lights it on fire. It just puts absolute amount of force behind it.
Especially when you have, you know, just all these coincidences like built on top of each other, and you talk about kerosene, it's more like rocket fuel.
At that point.
Yeah, I mean, and the one thing that really excited me about it all was, you know, I mean, everything about it is exciting, but, you know, my whole goal was to, you know, especially for a lot of the guys that are in the independent film world or just independent contracting in general, you know, who have these dreams and passions to get into that certain field in film or TV. I mean, unless you're working for a studio and those shows are constantly coming here, I mean, you're always looking for work. You're always hoping for the next job. Like, you're sitting on what you made for 3 months, and then you got to figure out what to do for the rest of the year. And what I loved about the video game, I mean, it's a 3-year project. It's going to be something that employs people constantly. And it's not just, you know, most of my investments I was bringing in were for a film project that, you know, you would raise $5 million and that would be that project for 3 months and that's it. Where this was raising the same amount of money for something that would build an infrastructure, that would have something that would not just make one game, but more games. Also taking in visual effects projects, doing post-production work. And so when I saw the opportunity for job growth and retention, that's something that has always been a goal for ARC, is to create these opportunities. And with it constantly growing outside of gaming and film and TV, I mean, there's more to come with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's all crazy, right? Because like what Mike was saying is we sort of all found each other, but you know, we have the post-production, like not saying that you guys don't, but we had the staff to do a lot of the post and
VFX.
And like people that are hard to find, right? Like the virtual production, like the wraparound screen, you can spend $1 million anywhere and build one, but the problem is all the big studios are gobbling up the people that actually know how to use them in a very effective way. And then, you know, Waste Potential meets TENCROW, and we had no like idea what we were going to do for infrastructure, or, you know, at least I didn't. I don't know if Ross might have had some ideas, but I think we were going to look at renting some space, and then we met you. And like we sat down, and like I said earlier, like we all started talking about this partnership before we even like, you know, it just sort of melded together.
Yeah, there was a lot of similar interests that we had too. You know, like I mean, creating jobs for people in the industry, helping provide opportunities for students that are looking to find their way, and we've, you know, finding out about Wake Tech Community College, opening up their programs into training their students in the Unreal 5 engine. That's huge.
Big deal.
Yeah, and the veteran community as well too.
Yeah, and with Epic Games, you know, a couple hours away too.
Yep, just right up the road. And you know, I think another great thing is you were talking about, you know, building jobs, talking about obviously the very immediate benefit of this partnership and the opportunities there. But what I really love about Southeastern North Carolina is the way we engage the film industry. And I guess you could say this is the same about most film places, but it's very specific to our culture, is that there is a benefit to that kind of transient, temporary, ephemeral work as well. Because what happens is people make a whole lot of money, might make their entire year salary in like a 3 to 6 month kind of project, and then now you have a bunch of creatives that are generally genius with a bunch of very bespoke, very specific skills, and they have nothing else to do, but they have money and they have time and they have ideas, and then they're going to write their own screenplays, and they're going to try to put together their own things and make stunt teams, and they're going to try to put together their own type. And given that we are concentrating these skills we have as far as being able to put together and rig up these cameras, these motion capture sets, these LED wraparound screens, we're giving them a place to make a playground for those independent ideas. So the thing I'm trying to drive to here is we're not just building opportunities for jobs in the region, we're building opportunities for job creators in the region. And that's an exponential growth. More people are going to do more projects, you know. Yeah. Smaller game studios in different genres, commercials, short films, film festivals, people trying to, you know, work with us as far as providing other things, as far as, you know, acting, voice acting, mocap. Everybody gets to put all these capabilities and create an ecosystem that feeds off of itself. And I think that gets missed a lot when people, you know, think, oh, they're building a small company and it's going to be kind of a little boutique shop or whatever. The thing that people miss when they don't understand exactly what the opportunity is that this boutique shop, so to speak, is going to be a linchpin in everybody else's progress, everybody else's growth. Imagine that you were just, you know, a college student with an idea, and then you said, oh, you know, just about 10 minutes up the road, there's this opportunity to use this place that's really benefiting the community, have the ability to do VFX and everything else. You have the opportunity for internships, the opportunity to bring in multiple teams to do shared renting sessions. It just, everybody benefits. And it really changes the face of the entire, not just the Southeast, really the entire state, but you know, we're going to start a ripple that's going to go across the entire coastal corridor.
Yeah, and I mean, not only that, but we also have like the live broadcasting content, social media. Yep. I mean, Darko, you yourself, like you were in social media really, really hard, and then like you took a break from it, and then like this whole thing just, I think, reignited that passion for you.
Yes, I did take a break just to realize what I want to do and make me happy.
Yeah.
And when we started going to the gym with Ross, and he was explaining me all the movies, video game, effects, things like that. And you know, when he says something and you already did it, but you did it in an amateur way and not professionally or get paid, and now you are realizing I can do what I want to do and get paid.
Yeah.
No, that's my wasted potential. You see, it's not going to be wasted no more.
Yeah. And I think it's funny too, like the number one thing was your wife, right? Like, your wife hates the fact that this is something like you get to do now.
Yeah, and get paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Next time you get paid, though, don't spend it all in one day.
No, I'll try.
Yeah, it's a nice Jeep, though. No.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, I'm glad that happened because it also, I mean, reignites a lot of stuff. Like, we were at a pizza parlor yesterday, and we met a young woman, and we are gonna have her in the game. You know, so like it's just that like people have these, you know, desires to do stuff, but they don't always have the opportunity.
Yes. I think somebody's phone's going off.
That's me, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make sure.
So professional.
It's that phrase over your head, you know, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And it's, you know, there's so much expansive, impactful, you know, expansive and impactful stuff that we're doing here. It's really not small. We are doing we're pushing a lot of weight, and our capabilities all feed off one another. So it's
and I think that, I mean, TENCROW wraps into that.
exactly
Right, like like I was saying, we don't have the infrastructure and it's amazing that we all sort of mesh together in the way that we do. We have a lot of shared history and passions. You know, I know that someone in this room is huge into esports, just like I was before. You know, Waste Potential Studios was Waste Potential Esports, and we focused a lot on Overwatch. And I know that there's someone here that definitely loves that as well. But I mean, it's just I don't know. I can't get over it. Like, I don't even know how to explain this relationship. Like, it was so organic.
Yeah.
And now we want to do, am I allowed to say that we're going to do a joint venture?
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to wait for you to come back for me to do that, though.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to add also that you can feel the tension relief when you know who knows technology, who knows social media, I would say, who knows programming, who knows acting, producing, and things like that. And you don't have to stress about, okay, he gonna do something wrong. No, because you know he gonna do the best.
Yeah.
He's working with passion.
Yeah.
He's not working like, okay, I studied this, I'm gonna do like this. No, you're gonna do this, but you're gonna trust your feeling. Is this the correct way that the team loves to see it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that also goes towards, like, all of us sort of fell into this, right? Like, and our skill set fell into it as well. We're like, we weren't sitting there going, Ross, we need to go and find a Devin and a Darko. Like, I knew, like, in the back of my head, like, from 2019, I knew I was going to need someone that did social media, because I think, Darko, you realized when you met me, we had 55 followers on Instagram, and I was like, well, what happened there? And I was just like, so there's this game I've been working on, and that's been my attention. But yeah, and then you came along, Devin, same as you, all right? Like, our poor Ross here introduced Devin and I, and that was a Zoom call that was supposed to be 30 minutes, and it lasted hours.
A couple of good hours, yeah.
Yeah, and I was very impressed that Ross was able to understand some of it, because we got very technical very quick.
And let's actually put a huge congratulations out for there. It's very hard to identify somebody. Like, you said, yeah, we need something, and it was probably some technological gobbledygook, and then it went into Ross's head, and he held it. He's like, okay, noted. And then I said something, at the gym, and said, hey, I'm working on this thing. It's technological gobbledygook, and he was able to say, these are the same gobbledygook. I have to introduce you to something. It was a really good conversation, because the reason I'm in this room is that conversation, right? It wasn't like, oh yeah, no, I'll help you, and I'll consult you, or oh, this is interesting. I was pretty much sold around then, because I realized kind of the vision of what you were trying to do, and I was like, yeah, that's very interesting to me. And I think, I share with other people in this room that I grew up thinking, well, one day I'm going to make one of these here fancy, newfangled video games, right? I was sitting there on my NES, and then on my Super NES, and then on my Saturn, and on that Dreamcast, and one day thinking, I'm going to make a game for this platform, right? Knowing it. And so having the opportunity to see, again, what you'd already done, I was like, wow, is there room for one more?
Well, I don't even think you had to ask.
I think we were pretty agreed that it was going to be a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to back that up. Like, Ross, I know that when Jennifer introduced us, you didn't have any experience with the AI or with video games or anything, like you were saying. Like, it was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And I know that we had a few calls when, because you would talk to an investor and they'd be like, hey, they need to understand what you're talking about a little bit more about this. And so I'd explain it to him so he can sort of relay the message. Mm-hmm. And I think you started to get it down so well where you didn't even need to talk to me anymore. You knew how to answer questions. And so, yeah, when you introduced me to Devin, I think huge props, man, because that's not an easy field to be able to articulate, let alone understand, like right off the bat like that.
Exactly.
So, and then we have a shadow AI developer over here.
So I dabble a little bit, I guess, but not me personally, just other people.
I tell other people to dabble.
Just earlier today when I forget what the topic was, something was brought up, and then you and Devin looked at each other and then just started talking, and it reminded me of when those two AIs got together.
We started speaking in gibberlink.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually, well,
That happens a lot.
that is how we, that happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Or like they've become accustomed to, I think like yesterday they saw it like 2 or 3 times where like I'll be walking down the street with them and like just stop, freeze. And they're like, Joe's thinking. All right, we're good. But but I can definitely see that dynamic because that's why I was saying like I feel bad for Ross on that first call.
And I'm here with Darko now, like we're just like National Geographic, like, oh, go get this. Get this.
It's like
They're in the wild.
He's thinking.
yeah, the two lions are getting together and they're thinking of something. Yep, there's the light bulb. Oh, yes.
Now, I've been in software and interactive for over 20 years. I think at this point, I'm pretty sure it's fair to say that English is my second language.
Hey, you can't steal that from me.
You have a different delivery.
I do.
Yeah, you have a
That's
different
fair.
delivery. I expect you to pick up after that. That was actually me tossing it to you.
Oh, yes. I said English is not my first language. C++ was. So I'm a programmer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You guys can both.
I
be
love
your own
how all
teacher.
the non-programmers just sort of look at each other like, what?
It is another language, though.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Technically speaking, a linguist can confirm that it has the exact same kind of maxims of language, like the Grice's 4 maxims of language. You have the ability of quantity and quality and how much you're expressing. And like a natural human language, a programming language can express something pretty much infinitely. There are very few computer languages that do not follow the same natural laws of human language. So, if you can express an idea completely within this particular grammar and construct, it's identical to a spoken language.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
R2D2 he understood. He got it.
He got it. Nobody else heard what he. Well, I don't know. It's weird because like
We'll
Luke
keep going.
Skywalker, it seemed like everybody could speak that language except the audience.
I mean, I didn't speak
Well, that's the
Wookiee.
point of it, right? And now they went and actually created an actual language that you can learn.
R2D2 language.
No, the Star Wars. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Klingon language, but yeah, I think they did codify droid. I think they did, right?
They might have.
I think Klingon is actually an option on Duolingo.
Yeah, Klingon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jedi is a religion in Australia. Did you know
Mhm.
that? 75,000 followers.
That's the power of film, man.
It's the power of lightsabers.
No, that's the power of the Force.
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's. I completely forget what we were talking about now.
Just
Language.
Oh no, like our light bulb moments. Yeah, actually, when Devin was introducing me, Ross, you had said you were working on something, but you couldn't figure something out, and then we hopped on that call, and that's what caused the AI to take over our bodies. Because that was like I was like,
Skynet working through us.
he gave me pretty much like that's kind of what it is. Like, I was on the call with Movella, and they're like, well, we can't do sensor-based facial like tracking, and I was like, well, why not? They're like, well, it doesn't exist, and I was like, yeah. I had an answer in my head, and I was just like, I'm gonna get back to you once I have something patented. But no, Devin and I, we got together, and he's like, I've been having this problem with my AI, and
Yeah,
I
it
was
the
like,
isolation
this
problem.
is what I'm doing. Probably should have gotten an NDA from him right then and there, but it actually worked, solved the issue for him,
Yep.
and I think that's when he was like, take me aboard.
Yeah, both of us had gotten like 50% in the same direction. It's kind of like we came from different forks and ended up on like the same path. Like, hey, where are you going that way? Really, me too.
Yeah.
That's curious, and it worked out because we really did have the rest of the components. I think that I had like a pretty good technological framework, and what you had was a really good like ingestion system and like an ambition. And ambition, by the way, I want to point that I did not believe in at the very first. Like no, there's no way that's going to work. There's no way that's going to work. And you convinced me. I'm willing to reassess my premises once I can be given some good math to look at. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
I gave you the math.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I reassessed my premises, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. This is a great idea. Let's go ahead. I've been working, I have a pretty good like BS meter for like a lot of like technology and ideas. So like I go in skeptically because otherwise everyone would fleece me for like everything. Like I can't even tell you how often people are like, hey, I have this startup I want to do. Can you jump on board? Like I don't have the time for that. Also, I think it's hogwash. But you know, like I really picked up on what you were putting down, and not only was it possible, I thought it was actually also a good idea. We talk a lot, like you and me specifically, about like the AI, but I think we really, those times we step back and say, is this going to be a fun game though? Right? And that's what I really picked up on. Not just the fact that it was the technology I was already developing for my own like internal project, but the fact that it was tied to something that could just fundamentally be enjoyable. Fundamentally bring people together. Like I keep thinking about people writing the fanfic off of it, kind of like the Halo Reach series and everything, or like the
Red
cosplayers.
Blues.
Yeah. I want to see people, you know, wearing those outfits at a Comic-Con. I want to hear people, you know, speculating what the next expansion is going to be.
I think that's a good segue into our queen. Her outfit. She's going to be getting the actual outfit.
Yeah.
And we are going to be going to some Comic-Cons as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did you tell them about that?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I guess now that you're back over here, you know, like we all decided to come together and one happy family.
I think it's something Devin just said too. It kind of reminded me of what I was thinking, especially when we were trying to figure out like a name. Probably something we got to do before y'all leave.
Yeah, 10 wasted crows on an arc. I liked that one.
But it's like we're all traveling on this path, and these roads are converging into the common goal that we're all heading down. So.
And that's something I kind of wanted to touch on too, like with Comic-Con and everything else that we're going to be creating is valuable intellectual properties.
Yeah.
You know, that's something is, I mean, we were just talking about it just before we got in here. I mean, movies that are being made and the content that's being put out there, it's all the same. It's all being rehashed just because it's safe, it's marketable, it has an audience already. And, you know, we have the capability to take that risk and create new ideas and create new IPs and new worlds that people are going to love. And that's another reason why I love the video game industry, is because you can't really do that in film anymore. When it comes to like trying to, you know, roll the dice on an IP, but in a video game, if everybody loves it, you create the characters, you create an amazing story, then that becomes so much more.
Especially with the fan base.
Yeah.
Right? Like movies like Harry Potter, Star Wars, there's a fan base there, right? But majority of the movies don't have that. And games, you have that, right? Like let's look at Overwatch, Blizzard, right? They put out game, and you know they upset their base and they lose a lot. I think you can look at EA, right? Like I really shouldn't trash talk all these big gaming studios, but I mean let's face it, you are beholden to the people that give you money.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with major movie companies too, you know, I mean, yeah.
But we've seen already with some of those studios, like, you know, they're looking at the monetary constantly, right? Which I understand, but to an extent, you shouldn't exploit or do something just to, you know, make $1. Like,
Exactly.
we are doing all of this to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like we aren't here to become billionaires or the next Elon Musk. We're literally all doing this because it's a passion.
And this goes back to the opportunity versus visionary thing, right? An opportunist would just create a game. Like, I'll tell you a story that makes me extremely angry to this day. I've been developing like small games since I was 16. I think the first thing I made was a clone of Asteroids, right? Because it's an easy thing to do. And I'd made like a bunch of like turn-based little things, and I tried to make bigger games. And I told you about the MMORPG I got me and my college friends to kind of go in on, and that completely crashed and burns. Because I'm not sure if you ever tried to make an MMORPG with a bunch of college kids. It's hard.
I tried to do it alone.
No. You've gotten pretty far, which is impressive. But
we are all here.
The thing that frustrates me is this: while I'm trying to make these large games with these great experiences, some guy makes Flappy Bird and makes several $1 million in 2
Yeah.
days before it gets taken off the App Store. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, I would have been able to love to invest that $2 million from that 2-day game into my next project. And so there's this thing that sits in this interesting dichotomy. You do have the opportunist thing, right? I could just go ahead and put together a casual game. It doesn't even need to be good. It can have stolen assets, essentially, which is the problem with Flappy Bird, and just make a bunch of money overnight, right? And I can try to go to sleep on that, on my bed of money. Oh, this is so comfortable. Who needs ethics, right? Or I can go through and try a visionary thing and say, well, what's a property that people will enjoy? Like 10 years later, when we get this fan base and then we have the opportunity to put together, again, I love talking about it because, you know, I didn't play a lot of Halo. Then you had like the Reach series, and then you had the novels, and then you had like the television distribution, the syndication of the series. I want to create properties that are multimodal, that are, you know, just all over the place. I want people to love every single bit of consumption because they believe that they have connection to the intellectual property. And that's a visionary way of thinking. Coming out of this by not just putting together a gimmick, but putting together a full experience.
And that goes the same in film too. You know, I mean, we're talking about games and intellectual properties. I mean, investors love it, and intellectual properties in general.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that they really want to look into. You know, when it comes to the independent film world, I mean, some people say it can't be done to kind of create the next superhero movie or the next kind of genre kind of film. I mean, but you know, a good example is like the horror genre, like The Terrifier. They made a scary clown, a low budget film, and they were going to make 5 movies off of that, ton of money, and they created a franchise. You know, with Sharknado too, you know, just something silly and just create, you know, something that will sell on that kind of side. But the thing that I love about this collaboration that we're starting is, I'm not saying that we can, I mean, we are going to do this. We are going to develop our own ideas. We're going to have the capability with a rear projection screen to turn North Carolina into anything. We can create that sci-fi idea. We can
put people on the moon.
Yeah. And with the campus being open, with our, you know, we're talking about all the different campuses we want to do, like stunt training, training new stunt actors, especially with the veteran community coming out here who already have the skills and experience, and they have that hidden wasted potential, that hidden talent that they can bring, whether it be on acting or, you know, training, other avenues that need to be trained in weapons training. And, you know, we can make movies by veterans, for veterans, you know, that could be its own IP. There's a lot that we can do with that too.
Yeah.
And you have a constant churn of folks that are getting out of the service all the time, that are looking for something to do. And, you know, people that are interested in this type of work, I mean, I bring this up all the time. What do they do with those skills and talent? They go somewhere else. Well, you know, now...
Like a contractor or something like that?
Yeah, like, so, you know, if somebody say you have a really talented filmmaker or whatever, you know, previously, prior to now, the only place to do that type of work was to go somewhere else, where like LA or New York City or DC. And I mean, maybe Wilmington a little bit, but I guess my point is there's so much talent that's here local that we're not retaining. We're like letting it leak out and
brain drain.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, now we're putting infrastructure in place, we're putting all these systems in place, and now we can retain these folks and start creating those things here at home.
And by bringing them in too, and with having all these capabilities here and retained here in TENCROW Studios, you know, in North Carolina in general, I mean, we can, you see it all the time. You see some people make fun of, like, you know, Star Wars latest movie because of their visual effects, or the Marvel movie because of their visual effects, how cheesy and wonky it looked, and it was a $300 million movie, and then somebody made a recreation of it for less than $5,000 on a specific scene, not a whole movie, but they were just showing the capabilities that just a few people have. Like, for example, one man making half of a video game already with 45,000 assets. You know, it's having that capability here. We can create these ideas, and we don't have to think so much about going on the budget. We stay within the budget, and we make massive returns on that.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why, you know, for us, it's really important, these partnerships that we're pursuing with academia. I mean, that's the next generation right there.
Yes.
And they're getting the skills, they're getting the training, and, you know, by having a strategic partnership with these folks, like, that's good for us because now we can start kind of assessing talent. It's great for them because they're getting experience in real world industry projects.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a win-win.
I think there's also something to be said about the dynamic of the people, right? So we're gonna have vets coming out
Yeah.
that are transitioning in, and we have students that are transitioning in, and so you have almost like the complete flip, right? And they're both being able to basically be helped by each other. They're gonna teach each other things, and they're gonna be able to work with the professionals that we have. One thing I wanted to say was like, we know of a few locations, a few studio that have the infrastructure already, but they're losing money, and they didn't even want to really meet to even talk to us about, you know, how we are, because, well, they didn't have anyone that could do virtual production or anything like that. First off, we went to them saying we have those expertise,
Yeah.
but, you know, we have some infrastructure here in North Carolina. It's not being utilized.
Mhm.
And the people that do have the infrastructure, like, they're getting rid of it or selling it off or bleeding money because, like I said earlier, the big studios are gobbling up the expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a mentality that has been interesting in like the Southeast North Carolina region that I have noticed that's kind of evolving around. Back when I used to do like music, I used to do DJing, and I used to do shows and open mics and everything. I'd find that everybody was trying to start their own, like, you know, agency. And I'll even use the word
Yeah.
little, their own little agency. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna promote this, I'm gonna promote this show, I'm gonna concierge this. And I would walk across downtown to go from one show to another show, and in that, like, you know, few moments, I'd pass by a bunch of people who were talking about, hey, you know, we're doing this thing with our agency. It's like, and everyone's just separate. But the thing that passes my mind is, you know, everyone could eat if all of you just got together and decided to book shows from here to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Right? If we all just work together, right, and rather than try to get like this bar and this club and this venue, what if we just owned the block? What if we just owned the city, all collaborating together? And that's the thing we end up seeing. When
I think that's the difference between opportunist right there and
And
visionaries,
visionary,
right? Like,
exactly.
all these people became their own little agents and management studios because, well, all of that left. I should do that.
Exactly.
I could do that, right? That couldn't be that hard.
But, you know, when you collaborate, it's kind of, you know, both you and I were doing pretty ambitious projects, and given a long enough timeline, we would have definitely accomplished them. But why give yourself a long timeline? Why not just get to support and then do something that intersects at shared passions, shared goals, shared capabilities, and just blow it out of the water? Why not save your energy and still be amazing? And that's what I see is this over here. Like the moment I walked into TENCROW, I was like, oh wow, that's what we need. This thing right over here, you know. And then we walked in, and it wasn't even 5 minutes. We hadn't even like put down our bags yet, and we were already talking about like shared capabilities and ways to just work within simple optimizations in just the office and everything else. And of course we can do that. You know, you bring in software development and visual effects, and you bring in administration and industry knowledge and investments and finance, and just put them all in the same room and say, hey, y'all have the same goal. Go at it. And that's, again...
Oh, we did that.
Yep.
Yeah. And now we're 10 crows on a... 10 wasted crows on an arc. Yeah, we really got to think of a name here.
I think while we think of the name, I mean, I think we can maybe start talking about the joint venture and what our plans are. You know?
Yeah, so there was one of the names was in Latin, like Old Latin. And it was like, it means like...
Trivium.
Trivium.
Yeah.
Where three roads meet. And because he was like, well, WTA was...
It's an agency, but yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, well,
very
shit, we got to
corporate.
think of something else.
Something that inspires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a great idea for a name.
Oh?
I did.
The name, never mind.
Oh, we need to
Oh,
change...
the t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, well, I'm new to this one.
The T-shirt.
The
Pro
F,
t-shirt.
Caw F.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. It's okay.
I felt so stupid when I read that.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't go well. Like, what's the name of your company?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea to change arcs, like we could do FARC or HARC, you know, and then we just WTF or WTH.
Yeah.
That shows our professionalism.
We're,
The wasted potential.
we're making entertainment.
It's an
and
entertainment
games.
company.
Exactly.
Right.
It's entertainment. It's-
But yeah, I mean, name aside, you know, the joint venture.
So yeah, I mean, I think we decided to formalize it,
Yeah.
right? And I know, like, we had talked to you guys about your vision, like what you want to do, and we were like, this is what we want to do, like, and I think
Let's
like
do it together.
yeah, we were just like, let's do it. And then, like, I think you said some ideas, and then I said some ideas, and it, like, we were in each other's head. Yeah. And then we're like, that's what we were literally talking about doing. You know, it's
I'm
just
finding
like,
that happens a lot around here.
It does.
It's the energy of the place.
yeah. I
Bigger
mean,
sales catch more wind, you know, and that's how the ship is moving.
Yeah.
What was that?
Bigger sales catch more wind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so the joint venture, and then we're gonna, so we're basically going into this together, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have waste potential. We're gonna do the,
Like, so Waste Potential doing gaming, visuals,
Mhm.
rear projection, post-production.
Mhm.
It could go even further than that. TENCROW Studios, we're gonna have, you know, this massive amount of land and space to do so much with, when it comes down to filming, to training, to being like a one-stop shop for production in North Carolina, that everybody, you know, the location of it itself is perfect because it's somewhere where a filmmaker can drive up with what we have planned, that you don't need to worry about company moves. You park your whole crew here. You can film everything you need here and do rear projection, post-production. Being like our own Universal Studios in Jacksonville is going to be something that's going to be huge, that people can, you know, drive over for and not worry about an hour drive from Wilmington to come up here. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
They'll be saving a lot more
yep,
in the long run.
or your
And-
cube.
Yeah.
We are gonna do those cubes.
Oh, out back here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where the little pop-up cubes
Yeah.
housing.
Little boxable houses.
Yep,
Exactly. You got your offices, you got your place to stay and sleep. You don't need to go anywhere.
Gym,
and the moat.
We just need to build like a food truck.
Remote.
Yeah.
gym, kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh no, we just have Darko Grill.
Yeah. Darko Grill. Yeah. Darko Grills.
I'm good with grilling.
The
You
grill
know, you can't throw
master.
something like that out there and then,
Yeah.
and then not bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
soon we're gonna have like people with actual food trucks being like, "Hey, can I
Yeah.
come over during lunch?"
Well, that's what I think, you know, as this thing gets going and we get established, the facility starts expanding, like, all these other businesses locally are gonna start popping up that
Mhm.
support it because
Yes,
the need's gonna
local.
be
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like,
Economic development is really based around trying to create hubs around which other things can also develop. Now, obviously, you have things like, you know, universities. You have people who are being educated in order to fill in some of these knowledge and trade jobs that we have opportunities for, whether it's, you know, Unreal or, you know, rigging or anything. Then you have, of course, opportunities for like travel. Like, how are the roads? Are there bike shops? Are there, you know, but at the core of it, you need to have a opportunity linchpin. You know, in old Detroit, you know, it was automotive. Right, there are towns that were built completely off of mining. You know, like around the coast, all the way from like, you know, here down to Myrtle Beach. You know, you have places that are built completely off of tourism. The question is, what do we see as being the highest growth, highest potential, highest happiness hub, opportunity hub? And the reason why I love entertainment, why I love film, whether we're doing it, you know, traditional or interactive, that's gaming adjacent, VR, or anything else, is that it takes every single skill. I've known people who were carpenters, and they only built shelving for action movies to get busted through, right? They probably went into their field thinking, you know, maybe I'll work on houses and I'll work with some developer and build some suburban neighborhoods. And they said, you know what? I have a lot more fun watching Iron Man bust through my wall. Right? And you have people who do art, who do illustrations, they do backdrops, they again do like VFX, you have people who cater, people who do makeup, people who do wardrobe. Every single industry is required purely requisite. It doesn't matter if you're using practical effects or VFX or anything else. One way or another, in order to create any of these things, you need to take all of these other disciplines and industries and put them around an entertainment hub.
Yeah.
And that means that this has the ability to truly inspire a wildfire of not only economic development in a traditional sense, but also entrepreneurship. Because we are at the cusp of a new type of industry, right? We talk about gaming, we talk about interactive. You know, just a few years ago, the buzzword was metaverse. Whatever the next buzzword is going to be.
AI.
AI, you know, we are going to be in the core of this with our artificial intelligence capabilities, our interactive and virtual capabilities, our entertainment and training capabilities. You know, we have the ability to do that.
Well, I also want to say, like, we're not just using AI to do everything, right? So, you know, in order to train people, we're going to have teachers, right? So that brings in the teachers. To build sets, we're going to have carpenters, we're going to have construction. You know, that's all going to be a constant thing where we're going to probably, right? Are we planning on having, like, on staff?
Absolutely.
Where they're just going to be developing these sets and
As designers.
yeah,
Exactly.
And that's what I love about our plans here too, because
Daycare.
everybody's afraid in the industry about AI taking over.
yeah,
And, you know, oh, I'm going to be out of a job because of AI. You know, we have a capability where we're creating a studio that's using AI as a tool and not something to replace somebody.
Exactly.
You know, we are going to, we're going to have real developers working on those levels. You know, we're going to have real writers writing the story. You know, AI is going to be in these other areas where nobody would be anyway. You know, it's just, that's what we're going to be doing responsibly, taking control of our AI in a responsible way, and using it to create more jobs. So
Exactly.
flipping it on its head, really, and
Yeah.
that's what I believe is going to set us apart than other studios.
Again, opportunity versus being a visionary. Like, because again, the opportunity does exist, right? There are tools that I'm not going to mention here, but for a little bit under $7,000, I can create a feature-length film with a few revisions, and it will come out. I'm not going to say the word decent, complete. It won't be decent, but it'll be a complete product, right? I can take advantage of a lot
it
of.
won't win any.
It won't win. It won't. It's not gonna. And no one would be able to stand up and receive the reward anyway. It'll be virtual people. But you know, you could take the opportunity to try to push something like that and just essentially make slop and move it through, right? And that's someone's going to do that. You know, I guess, you know, Godspeed to them and whatever, right? But what we're doing again is not just trying to take advantage of like the short term, because this is very simple. If we make slop media and we're not employing people, then who's going to buy our slop media over time, right? We want people to succeed. We want people to go home and feed their families. We want them to go and take on their own trades and other things that continue to build the economy, so that the local economy is not only feeding into, but also consuming this stuff, right? I mean, games and movies are not cheap to make, and therefore sometimes they're just not cheap to buy. So who are consumers? Well, the people that we're making sure are part of this larger ecosystem. It's a visionary thinking, and people who are thinking short term with anything, whether it's you know, AI or any kind of shortcut tool, just don't realize that it's not feeding themselves, their family, future generations, just the economy around them, and you know, just being aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, we could release Medieval Life right now and have a medieval survival game.
Yeah, right now it's complete enough. There, you know, I could build a cabin right now, live a life, etc.
Yeah.
You know.
But we want to do something that's quality and actually brings meaning.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are working on a lot of stuff. Do you want to like go into? I know we've talked about our partnership, but like, do you want to talk about it?
Well, I mean, I can talk about the third part of the joint venture.
him to talk first.
Oh.
Yeah.
And yeah, in what sense of?
Oh, just like I don't know.
So I think the way, I guess our position, the way we see things here with you guys coming on board, like, I know we've mentioned this a couple times, but the suite of capabilities that it allows us to offer to clients or to the community, I mean, just expands so much further. Because I mean, yeah, we have the studio, we have film production, we do website development, there's some AI development going on with that. You know, other things, equipment rentals, studio rentals, but now being able to offer like visual effects, you know, the ability to actually put some backing behind a feature film production or, you know, develop these crews, the amount of expertise that's gonna come in here so we can actually do workshops that are meaningful and like competitive with the rest of the industry. Like, those are all capabilities that we'll be able to provide right here. And I mean, to me, that's phenomenal. It's a dream. Like, to be able to expand this into a full-on campus.
Yep.
It's not just a studio that's waiting for somebody to come use it. Like, this is a working studio. Like, we're producing our own original intellectual property.
Yes.
Pushing it out into the world, and employing folks in the process and training folks and building the skill level, the workforce here regionally, locally. I mean, what's great about, like, even though Wilmington's an hour down the street, I mean, I see that as a strength because we have a lot of skilled folks, very experienced in the industry that are literally right in our back door.
Exactly.
You know, so all that support is right there. You know, Raleigh's only a couple hours away. You got Epic Games in Raleigh and a bunch of other, you know, a lot of, I mean, there's so much industry, and then where we're located is kind of in this like dark zone, but you know, that's changing now with us here, and then with
we
us
bring in the
joining
light.
forces. Yeah, we're bringing the light, and it's close to the beach.
Yeah.
Like, I
Can't
think
beat
if
that.
you live in Wilmington and you go to the beach, it's probably still like an hour drive to get there
Yeah, Surf City's not far.
with traffic.
Yeah, but I'd say with
Yeah.
traffic,
Yeah.
and then finding parking might be 3 hours.
Yeah, from the studio, it's what, like 30 minutes maybe to get to the beach?
From
Yeah.
here,
From here, yeah.
Well, we're gonna have a helipad.
Oh, yeah, well,
We can visit
that makes
that.
it a lot easier.
For any investors watching this, we're kidding.
I mean, we are excited, not just with the partnership with Waste Potential, but also with Arc Entertainment and all of the capabilities that we'll be able to like put together.
Yeah, I mean, ARC is really gonna focus on the movie production, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, and ARC, the way ARC, I mean, the way it's all going to work is like this, with this joint venture. It's why it works perfectly. ARC is like the fuel, it's like the fuel tank or like the gas tank that's going to be fueling the projects. It's another. It's going to basically work as like another hedge fund for media. So what it's going to do is it's going to bring in investments for each project that's going to have its own investment structure. So that is going to be handpicked by a team, by a distributor that is going to be known to be profitable, that will fit perfectly within the incentive ranges that we know that we can do to make it a safe bet for a good return. And each project is going to go to TENCROW Waste Potential. And we're going to be this revolving wheel of creativity and profit.
Yeah, and we're building the infrastructure. We're not renting it.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it's going to cost that upfront cost, but we have the reusability. And even though, you know, we might not be producing a movie, because that industry is still heavily in Georgia, and we are going to actively bring it here.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of contacts,
Well-
but we can also continuously use the studio with the video game development. I think we have Medieval Life, we've been signed to do another video game afterwards, and then there's another mobile game that we were up to do right after that.
Animation project as well too, and I can speak
Yeah.
more on that.
yes.
Just because like the way the industry kind of goes in the independent film world, I mean, there's all these projects on video on demand channels, right? And they're looking for content to fill. I shouldn't call it content. They're films. They're movies. You know, movies, TV shows that they want on their platforms. And you know, when it comes down to the producing side, we always got to figure out a strategy on how we're going to make it for a certain budget and make enough returns for our investors. And that's where the battle of state incentives come into. And when it comes down to certain producers looking at the pros and cons of where to film, it always is about first money to secure a project. And that is what, with Arc Entertainment's fund coming into these projects, with that being the first money in. Now, it doesn't have to be millions of dollars that goes into a project that we need to raise or put into something. It's really about securing that first 10% seed into each project as an individual business, if you were to look at it that way. And putting that individual seed into each project, that is enough to sway enough of the pros and cons of where it's going to be filmed to be secured for North Carolina. And that is the secret sauce of ARC.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then we still got to figure out what the collective secret sauce is going to be called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd get in trouble if we call it the Big Mac sauce?
I'm pretty sure we'd actually get in trouble if we called it the Big Mac sauce, yeah.
Fair enough.
Are we running out of
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
We're pretty much out. Yeah.
We talk too much.
I think we touched on everything, right?
I think
Yeah,
so,
I think we
yeah.
can talk for days.
Yeah.
I mean, the
We
only,
can.
thing, the only thing that we didn't that I wanted to kind of touch on too is like one thing we kind of forgot about was animation projects too.
Yes.
That is another thing that kind of goes into our field of what we're doing with
Well,
Unreal.
do we still
and
have
Motion.
space to record this?
This one's good, I think.
Okay.
This one's the one that's a little bit.
Yeah.
5 more minutes?
Well,
Yeah.
let me just touch on animation just real quick because that's something where that industry is growing and booming as well too. And you know, with everything else that we're doing in gaming, we can also set up a full-on animation studio, exploring more opportunities for those that are looking to get into those fields as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the sky's the limit when it comes to this joint venture.
Absolutely.
God, this is so exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Onslow County does not know what's coming.
that's right.
Coming your way.
But,
Neither do we. No, I'm kidding.
Well, again, this is probably a good point to close out, but really appreciate everybody coming out and the work that obviously everyone's doing. And I think we're gonna. This is like the shit that you take a picture of and look back on in 20 years, like, wow, that's how that all started. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
We have our first team dance recorded.
It's true. Yeah, it was great.
We tried to get a bunch of people at a bar last night to dance for us, but we couldn't.
Yeah, we'll do one.
I blocked you, Joseph.
Alright. The picture that
Yeah.
we're gonna.
I
Use
think
later
we're
on.
gonna have a few.
I think we'll have a-
pictures.
Oh, there's.
Oh, you got cameras on?
Are they recording?
Hello.
But, yeah.
I thought it was only voice.
We good? Any last?
No, I'm good.
I think we touched on everything, yeah.
Yeah,